So everyone made it. So this is actually a successful thing. I was not sure, even though, it's kind of sad that my job kind of revolves around this kind of thing, especially with so many people working from home. And yeah, I'm like, Zoom, oh God, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So because I've just never used it. So I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm in for. But I don't know. So everyone made it, so that's good. I was speaking to BC Breakaway leading up to this. I'm like, I'm not exactly sure what I'm supposed to be doing, because it was way easier when I was just told to show up at a certain place at a certain time and everything would just happen. And now I'm just like, okay, if you're relying on me for this, it's going to get interesting real quick. So, but this worked out on relatively short notice. I mean, it's one of those things that I should have touched base on earlier, because I generally knew this was the road we were going to be going down, because like as of 2-3 weeks ago, with COVID restrictions getting kind of somewhat worse, as a gesture, I suppose, because back 2 or 3 weeks ago was a little more than a gesture. I knew that this probably was going to be where we were headed. So I should have reached out a little sooner, but hey, we all made it and it all worked out great. This has been such a bizarre year in that, on one hand, I think I might have touched on this, in person, just in random conversations over the past year, that on one hand, this year seems like it's gone super quick. On the other hand, it also feels like it's dragged on. I've never had a year that's kind of felt like both. It's just like, I hardly believe it's Christmas in just a couple weeks, right? But yet it seems like it's taken forever.
Time compression is just wicked this year. It's like all at once, like exactly as you described, all at once. It's like this year has been the shortest week ever and the longest decade. It's somebody was doing some recaps. Yes, I'm still on Tumblr because there's still some gold in there and stuff like that. Apparently the crazy people moved to Twitter, so beware. But somebody was starting to do a recap of some of the articles that had come out, and just a brief reminder, that was this year, and it's like whiplash.
Yeah. When you think that we're about 18 months from the last furry, not quite 18 months, but close enough, that it doesn't seem that it was that long ago that, we were there.
Might be PTSD.
That actually is also a real thing with furry.
I'm sorry.
No, but we love you all.
Yeah, it's a labor of love. So.
It can be stressful, but it's so much. It's ridiculous how something so stressful can be so much fun. But.
Yeah. It's as well, and especially now with everything going on. Honestly, I'm envious of furry cons that run in, say, January or February, because without a doubt it's done. It's not going to happen in 2021. Us, we're in that really vague, like, kind of, we're aiming for July, and we might be okay, we might not. Unfortunately, I'm leaning towards it's probably going to be tough to do, simply because we're being told that a majority of Canadians will be vaccinated by September, but is majority 50% plus one? Like, if that's the case, that's not enough to actually run with something. That being said, they're kind of divvying it up by quarter by quarter, even month by month. So I think we'll have a pretty good idea come spring. I think, like, in my mind, it'd be very similar to this year. We'd be aiming for roughly March, that we would kind of look at things and go, how does this look? Because that gives people a chance to, if it is a go, get tickets, for flights, things like that. Or if it's not, and they already have tickets, that's 3 or 4 months out that they can go, okay, look, things still aren't happening. Can I get a credit or whatever it might be?
Yeah.
So I guess we could probably sum that one up real quick for the folks out there wondering, we're aiming for enough clarity by the end of the first quarter to be able to give you an answer that is a little less hand wavy.
Yeah, and that's just it. That's always been kind of something, like, kind of my thing is I want people to be made aware of what's going on. I don't want it to be one of those things where it's like, 2 weeks before the event and nothing's been said. Is it going on? Is it not? I figure 4 months should give people lots of opportunity to make plans or cancel plans. It also gives us, a little bit of time to see what actually is happening with vaccine deployment. And it's also not just us either. There's so many people doing forecasts now about what vaccination is going to look like. And some are saying, by the end of the first quarter, Canada is actually going to be ahead of most countries. Well, that's great for us. But if you're not going to have any international travelers coming, then, that makes it difficult to run an event like this.
It's one of the joys of Foray that we have so many folks coming in from all corners. It's just great seeing people coming in, visiting and having a great weekend and stuff like that. And we definitely want to have something like that be the event still.
And the other thing that complicates things even further is even this year, when we weren't sure in March or so what things were going to look like, we were all kind of talking like, well, can we push it into October, for example, or November perhaps? And who knows what happens next year? It might be one of those things if by, say, November you're looking okay, but there's so many other events that are going on at the best of times. Especially though, if other events do this, have something you're cramming in all these events into like the last 3 or 4 months of the year, then it gets really tough. So so there's a lot of things we got to go over, but we'll make sure everyone's kept aware. That's the big thing. Is I think so long as the lines of communication are kept open and people know what's happening, that's the important thing. As far as Foray things for now, like for this Christmas season, with all this stuff that BC and I've been working on BC's been working his butt off. Like it's great because he's super excited about this. Not that I'm not, but it's great to talk to him because it's like, oh my god, and he's like, you got to look at this, and I'm envious of that amount of enthusiasm because I can't even be that enthusiastic about like good things, like great, amazing things in my life. I'll be like, oh yeah, great.
He's a zebra. He's got racing stripes built in, so he's faster.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. For me, I'm just like, when it happens, it happens. But one thing we've been going over though, and I see, this is the great thing with recording this in advance is, hey, if BC wants to, he can edit things out.
Yeah.
But so I'm pretty sure though we're not making it a surprise. I think he's working on some advertisements for it, but we've decided on the Thallanor Eats for charity, and I've always said I would never do a smoothie, and
no.
So this year, BC and I were talking about like, what do we do for food and what's the holiday? And he's like, eggnog. Eggnog is Christmas. So it's going to be eggnog, and so it's going to be Thallanor Eats an Eggnog, and I'm really
Thallanor drinks a nog.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
So it's gonna be bad. I told him
to get sympathetic heaves from this.
I already am.
Like, because I've there's only a couple people I've mentioned this to, and they're like, I don't even like eggnog, on its own. And I'm like, fortunately, I don't mind eggnog. I might hate it after this, but we'll see. But even that we're going to have to do differently because of group restrictions. So BC is going to buy all the stuff. He's going to throw it in a box, and then he's going to leave it on the step here. And then Kaylin's going to get it because she's my roommate. So she's like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll mix all this stuff up for you. So it'll be very similar to what we're doing here, except it'll be kind of my kitchen and then and BC, and then we'll kind of do it that way. So yeah, I have no idea what's going to be in the box. If it's
No.
anything like previous years, there's going to be at least 1 or 2 fish products. So that's
That's the stories from the past that I've been at your house for come to mind with that. So like,
yeah. So I'm really, I mean, it's sad. On one hand, I gotta say I am looking forward to it because I always find it funny. And it really it is. It's 95% hilarious, and it's only that 5% when I actually have to drink it that it's really bad. And who knows? Maybe we'll do smoothies from now on. I don't know. I'm really hoping not.
I hope not.
But,
I don't know. It's like if Kaylin is involved with the preparation, though, you might have a ringer because she can do some amazing stuff, and you might end up with like no matter what you add, it ends up tasting like like some brownie confection or something like that.
and that would be funny because like I mean, just as a and who knows, it might actually be in it. But we were just joking about like brown sauce, for example, and I was thinking it'd be hilarious to do like actually make a whipped cream that is actually blended with that, so you get this brown whipped cream, which actually looked like a poop emoji probably.
Yeah, it would.
But just decorating this fancy, horrible eggnog with that. So, but that's kind of what we're looking at doing. Because yeah, without being able to run the event this year, it's been really difficult for underdogs because I mean that's a big chunk of change that's suddenly missing with the event not going on like it normally would. Yeah, like it's it's gotten to the point over the past like 9 or so months where I've just decided we could be upset about the way things are going, or we can just accept that this is the way it is. We can't do a thing about it, so we might as well try to find the best parts of it, like sleeping in. It's
Right.
It's so minor, but it's something I'm looking forward to. I don't know. I've got a lot of hobbies I've been putting off for years now that this might actually be when I actually start to actually work on them. We'll see. I don't know. At least, it's one of those things where, being an introvert and, kind of a hermit, this is actually kind of a blessing in disguise in some ways. I am looking forward to things getting back to the way they used to be. Not being able to do beer and wings with everyone every couple of weeks, that's probably the toughest part because that was my big social interaction was that. And now it's kind of like,
We still got to set up a Zoom for that.
We now know how.
Yeah.
So,
now that we have the knowledge for it, it's
do it.
yeah, I think it'd be fun. And I've actually been thinking of it'd be something fun to do where, even a day or two in advance, just advertising it on like Twitter or whatnot, and just because it's Zoom. I can send the link out on social media, and I can pick who I accept because it's kind of like this little lobby area where I see who wants to join, and if it's someone I have no idea who they are, or worse yet, the name is really bad.
Cryptocurrency bro.
Yeah, exactly. Like Bitcoin bro or something like that. It's like, yeah, probably we'll choose no for that one. But yeah, like it's. I think that's the big thing I miss because it's not like there's some furries that they'll like every night or every other night or every weekend they're going to visit friends, and
yeah.
I'm almost envious of that. I wish I was that outgoing that I could actually be like, yeah, sorry, going to see someone tonight. Oh yeah, and tomorrow too. But I don't know. I have a tough time going out to do that much stuff. It just kind of burns me out. I guess that's another thing with getting old as well.
No, that's an introvert thing. Is being social uses energy as opposed to gains you energy.
Yeah, it's interesting
kind of
though.
thing.
Like,
I'm the opposite of you guys. I thrive on it.
And that's the thing. Like if I go back, like 10 years ago or 15 years ago, like that was me. I loved to get out there and I loved to like meet new people and make new friends. But I'm not sure if there's a correlation or not, but I also, if you go back about even 5 years ago, I was like a complete like jerk too. Like it's been such a struggle the past 5 years. Yeah,
Really?
yeah, I know it's hard to believe.
You,
Never have guessed.
Yeah,
you are a different person now than you were that many years ago. Yeah.
yeah, and so so on that hand, when you look at it from that side of things, I kind of rather be a little bit more introverted, but not be like a complete jackass, because I look back at that period of time and it's not a period of time to really be proud of. Honestly, I think to a certain degree, furry has actually helped in a certain amount there too, because it's not like you want to go, oh man, I would do all this stuff if I didn't have to be accountable for things. But on the other hand, you do kind of think of what you do and what kind of image it portrays to a certain extent, and it's not so much that that's why you act better, but it makes you think about it, and just the act of thinking about it goes, yeah, maybe that is a jerk thing to do, or that is a jerk thing to say. And it's difficult too, though, because I'll talk to people that have known me forever, and there's almost that expectation that I'm like that I'll say something like really, really crappy, like just like any random event, someone will be like, oh man, did you see that? And it's almost like they're expecting me to be like, oh yeah, man, like what were they thinking, kind of thing. But even in private, when it's with friends like that, I'll kind of be like, well, like I don't even know I can't even think of the situation, just whatever situation, I'll be like, well, maybe they're trying their hardest, kind of thing. Like I'm trying to look at the positive now in every situation and try to think that yeah, you could take that path where you're going, like you're being bitter and everything sucks. But it's funny though, because there will be I'll have these conversations with people that haven't talked to me for like say a year or two, and they'll be like, that doesn't sound like the Thallanor I know.
Did you find religion?
So,
oh, hey, there you go.
Oh, there we go. I just got this pop up that's like, we're going to remove the 40-minute time limit on your video.
That's all. Thanks, Zoom.
Yeah, they're like, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Val, I'm not a doctor, and I'm especially not your doctor, but the people we are the parts that we play. And your ease with being more, extroverted in the past and stuff like that might have been the persona that you were portraying. It might not really have, like, that might have been the mask you were wearing.
That's kind of how
it's easier with furry, because you get to put on a fursuit and stuff like that, and run around and stuff like that, and reveal yourself more in that way, as opposed to hiding yourself behind a harder shell.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny, like mentioning masks and whatnot. It's also it's also around the time I started fursuiting a lot more that I really started to do that change a little bit. And I don't know if it was the act of fursuiting and kind of being a little bit more being able to let loose a little bit more, but also you have to kind of pick at that point what kind of image you want to portray. And I think by, I'm sure for some people it might be a thing to put on a fursuit and be like, just man, I'm a tough guy, I'm a jerk, whatever you might be. I don't know. For me though, I decided that, like, especially because my fursuit's a little bit more on the kind of the cutesy cartoony side, I decided, that's kind of the image you want to portray. And I don't know, like it could be coincidence, but it's also around the time that I started to, kind of make these different life choices to kind of, better myself. And that could have very well been part of it. The funny thing being is that I hardly fursuit now at all. I was, it's, maybe once or twice a year. And some of it's just comfort level. Part of it's, who do you suit with? Because it's also kind of, I've gone suiting with people that are super, super out there. Like they're super friendly and they reach out to everyone. And because that's not quite my style, then I'm kind of left sitting there going, like, what am I doing here, kind of thing. And you start to notice it a lot too, because among suitors, they'll be like, oh yeah, film this, film that. And because fursuiters love cameras, and I don't blame them at all. But you start you start to notice though, when you're that slightly more introverted, you notice that, and I don't think they're doing it intentionally, but you notice that, suddenly I'm off to the side, like they've all moved on for pictures.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, oh, you should come over here. Not to me, but to each other. And you start to specifically notice you're the one that's not asked to join the pictures. And yeah, that's partially, because that's, I'm just, like I said, a lot more introverted now. But on the other hand, I think there's kind of that, that bias that they're not even aware of either. So that's kind of led to me suiting a lot less too in recent years. I think the last time I ended up suiting actually was last year it was in Vegas, in Vegas and out in the desert too. So of
course you did.
Wearing a black fursuit in the desert. That was a genius move. So,
that's a Thal move right there.
Well, if there were any questions about your sanity.
Well, and it was funny because there were a few of us that went, and we were like, we'll go early, so it'll still be nice and cool out. Yeah, cool is like 38 degrees Celsius, obviously. So, and that was early, and that was cool compared to how hot it got that day. But I still have to go through some of those pictures that we took, because we actually got some really cool ones of the bridge that goes over the river just beyond the Hoover Dam. So I got some really cool pictures of fursuiters with the dam behind them, because I wasn't wearing my fursuit for that, because I'm like, there's no way I'm climbing. There was this huge hike of stairs to get to the top, and then down a highway, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'll take pictures. How about that? But out when we were actually at it wasn't Red Rock Canyon, it was Valley of Fire is where we ended up going, and yeah, that was a lot of fun. But man, that got warm after a while. But yeah, at least we did it in the morning and not in the middle of the afternoon. So I don't know. And it's actually, I think that was the first time I actually traveled with my fursuit too, which was, it's funny because it was my first time, I'm like, I don't know how to pack all this stuff. So I'm like, okay, how do I fit all this stuff in the suitcase? So I'm like, okay, well, I can fit like shirts inside the head. I can fit socks inside the head, because everything to try to save space at that point. And then it's like, it just looked bad. Like if you drop my suitcase at the airport, TSA would be involved, because it looked like it would have just gone everywhere if it dropped. So
an explosion of clothing and horse parts.
Yeah, exactly. It would have been bad. It'd be like smuggling wildlife. But yeah, so that was my adventure. That was the last time I think I went suiting. So that's kind of sad. I mean, I guess I did for the summer parade we did this past summer. I suited up for that, but even then, I was kind of just like, okay, I'll do it because I'm being asked to do it. Suiting's just taken a different turn for me. Not a bad turn. It's just the way it's gone. I don't know, and things might change with time too. I do want to get more into suiting again, and I do want to work on being a little bit more outgoing, especially in suit, because that's kind of when you want to do it. You don't want to be like, oh yeah, I'm over here. I guess if I had an Eeyore fursuit, it would work perfectly, because then I could just be in the background. Thanks for noticing me.
But Thal, what if I make you a Furby head?
Oh my.
Yeah, you never know. See, it depends. Nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You just go wander around the Arbor Lounge and repeat random words back to people.
Yes.
Really
Yes.
Yeah, I am looking forward to when we can do foray again, though.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be optimistic about it.
But yeah, my annoying optimism aside, I do get that we are approaching the feasibility of the event going on in July from the wrong side of the line.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. There's things that have to be met, not things that have to be taken away.
Yeah.
It's going to be a slog to get there. Maybe the situation across the globe will change rapidly, like production and distribution and uptake and all the rest of that. And people, getting their heads out of their posterior orifices and
yeah, and that's really going to be what it comes down to. I mean, that's because that's something to bear in mind too, is from an event standpoint, it doesn't necessarily have to mean that everyone's vaccinated, as long as you've got that combination of a certain number vaccinated, but also just people doing what's right and keeping the numbers down. If you had, say, 50 new cases a day, things would be opened up wide open again. And I would be, then it comes down to our personal comfort level of what we're comfortable with putting on. Are we comfortable putting it on with, the possibility? And that gets to be a really difficult decision to make. But at least it'd be a decision to even consider. Whereas if the numbers are still gross and you still don't have, a majority of the population vaccinated, then it gets really difficult to decide, or rather, I should say, it makes it easier, not more difficult. It makes it easier because you just know it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But
I do not want the pox or the lurgy. As much as I am annoyed by I don't know if the light catches it, but I've got mask muzzle is my thing now. Where the mask pulls back on the beard, so I get the nice little crease. Yeah.
Just look like shadows. It's fine.
Yeah. Thal gets to work at home. Like, I get to work at home whenever I can, which is awesome, because in some respects, the lab that I built in my own basement is better than the lab downtown.
Yep.
But there's certain things that I actually have to be there because there's no amount of, being a keyboard jockey that will actually get fiber optic lines connected to each other and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, I get to wear a mask and head on down and mingle amongst the flea lickers.
Yay.
Yeah. But I don't know. And this might be something we do more often too. I mean, it's nice just to be able to touch base with people. It's easy to chat, but it's not quite the same as this. This does, it's a little bit more interactive than, having to type something and you wait for, 5 or 10 minutes for a response.
Right.
So we'll keep in touch. Okay. But I'm sure before Christmas I'll reach out. But again though, and hopefully everyone watching has a great Christmas too. So as best as we can make of it, that's all we can really hope for at this point. So
we are currently living in history-setting times. There's going to be historians that are going to specialize on a per-month basis for 2020. There's a hell of a lot going on. Hang in there, folks. And do your best to abide.
Yep. So you guys have an awesome evening. And
You too.
Yeah, and I shall keep in touch.
Excellent. Talk to you later then.
Yeah. Take care.